In 1997, at the request of Robert Dawkins, the director of Hoop Academy International Incorporated, I, Derek Limas, the director of video productions at the Hoop Academy Project, had the distinct pleasure of conducting an impromptu interview with Alexandria's most celebrated Hall of Fame basketball player, Earl F. Lloyd. It was during this event, in honor of Mr. Lloyd, at Bolling Air Force Base, that I began to interview him for the next 15 years on different occasions. I cannot recall whether one interview was more significant than the other. However, 10 years after I had met Mr. Lloyd, I had no idea that I would be interviewing him in his home. Again, at the request of Mr. Dawkins, 10 years later in 2007, I was en route to Crossville, Tennessee, with video production equipment in tow as a welcome guest in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd to conduct a unique and unprecedented interview of Earl Lloyd and Harley Skeeter Swift, who was also a native Alexandrian. This 3-day interview was one that rarely occurs, and it would involve two living legends from the same hometown, one black, one white, but from different sides of the tracks. You see, Earl grew up during extreme racial segregation, with limited resources, and where the system was designed for him and all black people to fail.
Mount Vernon Boulevard was, as the German would say, was verboten. You know, it's taboo. I mean, if a black kid was seen walking up Mount Vernon Avenue, you better have a mop and a bucket. And you better stop quick someplace and start cleaning up something, because you had no reason, there was no reason in the world for a young black kid to be on Mount Vernon Avenue. And because, first of all, he's putting himself in harm's way. It was crazy times, man. You know, you think about this. Usually athletes, some kind of way, will gravitate to each other. I never saw a football game at George Washington High School. Never saw a basketball game. Never saw a baseball game. Never saw a track meet. I mean, you never felt like you would be welcome. And so just to be on the safe side, why take a chance?
Skeeter, on the other hand, who was white, grew up during integration. But during the interview, Earl stated that Skeeter was a very unique individual and that there will never be a Harley Skeeter Swift story in Alexandria again.
In an earlier conversation, I was telling Skeeter that he was very unusual. Not unusual, unique. I mean, for a guy during his time to function the way he functioned with the black community made him, as I knew Alexandria at that time, made him extremely unique. I mean, Skeeter's a true basketball player. And whatever he had to do to make himself a better basketball player, he would do it. And not would do it, but did it. His thoughts, as we've talked, was that to progress and improve, you have to play against people who are just as good or better for you to improve whatever game that you wanted to end up with. So he probably spent more time in the black community because of those thoughts as to improve his game.
You know, when you get on a 94 by 50, okay, and you're the only color out there, and you are accepted, you gain respect. So I gained respect because I could play. And I was respected because I wasn't afraid to appear anywhere to play basketball. Did I win all the time? Lord, no. But I never went out there with the idea that we were going to lose You know, whether it be Kelly Miller, whether it be Georgetown on the asphalt, whether it be at the Washington Metropolitan Library, that's what it was called way back when. No, I went out there with the idea, and lots and lots and lots of players. Were they white players that contributed to my success? Sure. Were they white? Yes, but not like the black community. I was comfortable. Is that crazy? I think it was wonderful. I look back, my wife says, can you believe, Skeeter, it was segregation and integration, and you could go anywhere in the city of Alexandria that I wanted. Washington, D.C. Hitchhiking across 14th Street Bridge down to Kelly Miller Park, and never, never, never was I ever threatened or beaten or someone wanted to kill me.
Mr. Dawkins, an observer of Skeeter's development, also stated that Skeeter was unique and blessed because he was able to enjoy life on both sides of the tracks.
Why put forth the effort to be the best that you can to let a group or someone tear it down for whatever reason? And I didn't let that happen. I didn't come from I wasn't black, Afro-American. I was white, so I could go anywhere I wanted to. However, his family weren't alcoholics. They didn't physically abuse him. They didn't beat the crap out of him. He had 3 meals a day. He learned respect, how to treat other people. Are you following where I'm coming from? I'm white and have all these privileges, and I'm the one who runs away from home when I'm 15 years old. Do I feel sorry? I didn't understand. And you'll probably say, Skeeter, here I am sitting there listening to you. I'm Afro-American, you're white, and you didn't understand in 65, or I'm sorry, from 1960 on up, it was a segregated, integrated situation. I was accepted. I could have went over to Miss Lloyd's. She would have brought me right in, set me right down at the table and fed me whatever kind of meal she had. Miss Miller, the same way. Do you understand what I'm saying? I didn't understand that there was prejudice. I'm not apologizing that I didn't know, but I was engulfed in basketball. I was engulfed being accepted in a side of the family. I'm sorry, in a side of a town that was looked down upon for not their reason, for not their problems or their reasons. It was just the way it was at the time, and it was sad.
As a result of these blessings, he was never inconvenienced or denied the opportunity to journey to the other side of the tracks to satisfy his curiosity about some unresolved issues he had concerning his ability to compete with talented inner-city African Americans. The lessons Skeeter learned from these experiences speak for itself because of the multitude of distinguished and prestigious awards he accumulated during his career. Although they played in the National Basketball Association and are from the same hometown, these legends had never met until this historic occasion.
You know, this is kind of an unusual circumstance. I mean, you got the 2 guys, one white and one black, the only 2 professional basketball players from Alexandria, Virginia. We both living in Tennessee, and we're both here under the same roof.
And here I was, with my cameraman Rodney Clark in Earl's home for 3 days of videotaping an eloquent, unrehearsed, and unapologetic account of their life's experiences.
The mistake Parker Gray made was we had the wrong school colors. We were blue and white, if you remember, Parker Gray Bulldogs. George Washington presidents had blue and gold. Now, George Washington got new uniforms every year. And we had stuff stitched and sewn and chewing gum wrappers to hold it, you know. So my thing was, we should have adopted the same colors that George Washington had, because the uniforms they wore for 1 year, if they were hand-me-downs for us, it would have been a fabulous uniform for us at that time. Parker Gray High School, we had, I mean, athletically, as far as equipment and that kind of stuff, we had nothing. We didn't have a gymnasium. We had that little bandbox auditorium. We didn't have a football field, baseball diamond. We couldn't have a track team. And we didn't have a football field. All of our football games, home games, were played in the municipal stadium. But it's amazing. It's utterly, when I reflect back to Parker Gray, I shake my head. I don't know how we did it, except for the fact that we had a magical coach, Lewis Johnson. I mean, man, he got it done. And we had a lot of kids, situation-wise, in the summers, there was very little for us to do. There were no jobs for black kids. There were no little leagues. Consequently, what we did, we played sports. We'd play softball in the morning, touch football in the afternoon, and basketball in the late evening. And like anything else, the more you do something, the more proficient you become. So as a consequence of us playing all the time, we were pretty good at it.
George Washington High School didn't have basketball players that was as good as I was. In order for me to take the next step forward, I wanted to go to college. Mind yourself, I was 6'1.5", 240 pounds, and people told me I was too fat to play basketball. I wasn't fat. Yes, I was, but I could play basketball. And so I would play against people who were better than I am. The Dave Bings from Washington, D.C., the Elgin Baylors, a lot of the Harlem Globetrotters, Jerry Chambers, that name probably doesn't ring a bell to you, went to Utah, was the most valuable player in the NCAA, ended up being my roommate, not my roommate, I'm sorry, ended up playing with me when I was at the San Antonio Spurs. So I have no reservations that if it was not for me being accepted in the Afro-American community, I probably would have never made it to professional basketball. That is and if the the white community doesn't want to accept that, so be it. The best basketball players from 1960 to on was the Afro-American community.
There are no words I can use to express the emotions that engulfed me during this once-in-a-lifetime interview, and it resonates within me to this day. I am so blessed and very honored to have had two such legends of affluence and influence to indiscriminately deem me and the Hoop Academy worthy and responsible enough to document their profound life stories. Without their understanding, sacrifices, and patience, we could have not shared their legacy.